Are there scholarship opportunities available? And are those opportunities expanding to support students who are interested in hardware design?
Yes, definitely. For the students in India, first of all, the student lab, they get Altium Designer for free, Altium 365. And then they get the free PCB design curriculum that we'll be adding to, and Mauser will be as a part of that. But we also have our global scholarship fund where students can apply and get more free training on Altium Designer. And then what's really important to us is our women's scholarship.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Altium OnTrack podcast. I'm your host, Zach Peterson. Today, we're talking with Rea Callendar, VP of Education at Altium, and Megha Kurup, HR Vice President for Asia Pacific at Mauser. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the education initiatives that these two companies are working on, and I know that there are a lot of new designers out there who are going to be very excited to hear about this, especially in the Asia region. Megha and Rea, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us, Zach. Thanks a lot.
Yes, I'm really
So,
excited to be part of this discussion.
oh,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Rea, you've been on the podcast before, but Megha, you are a new face. So, Megha, if you could, please just tell us a bit about your background and what it is you do at Mauser.
All right. So, my name is Megha Kurup, and I am talking to you from the Bangalore office of Mauser. So, basically, I have been associated with Mauser for over 9 years, and I started off, as a manager, and then, my journey has been tremendous and great. So, basically, about Mauser Electronics, in a small nutshell, we are into semiconductors and electronics domain. So, and our specialization is rapid introduction of new products, emerging technologies for our design chain. So we focus a lot on the buyer communities, design engineers. So this is what we like to do. And we are also famous and known for our service excellence. So that's been something which is very, we take it very seriously. And I think, that's part of us overall. It's just not about sales and everywhere. A little about Mauser's locations. We are over 28 countries, locations basically, and 11 locations are categorized under Asia. And my scope of responsibilities is HR operations of the Asia Pacific region. So I have a wonderful team who supports me for the HR bit. And my responsibility is primarily into ensuring, resource management, especially with strategic decision making, when it comes to any new associations in Mauser Asia. So we have any geographically new location expansion or any new unit that gets associated with Mauser Asia. That's when I get more actively involved. I am also involved into the employees' learning curve. Mauser takes that pretty seriously because it's business relevance. You want to ensure employees are reskilled, upskilled, and they are there in the market. Otherwise, you can't stand if your employees are not there. So I think that these are some things which I am highly involved. And important is that Mauser is a TTI group of companies, which is part of Berkshire Hathaway, which is a Warren Buffett company. So we ensure that our compliances, employment, and all our legalities are in place and are perfectly managed. So these are some of my areas of responsibility, Zach.
So, you've mentioned a few different things there. If you could tell us, in your role at Mauser, what are some of those big challenges that you're facing that are related to finding qualified engineering talent to come work for Mauser?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, a little about, like we speak about Mauser, we are a company which runs on a platform, e-platform. So the entire business is on Mauser.com. So we have two major important teams. One is an IT team who helps us run the engine, and then we have our engineering talent, the resources. So very interesting is that it's very easy. I mean that's a different way to put it, but it's easy to find software developers and web developers and the infrastructure guys versus the engineering talent. And when I say that, it's not. I mean, it's actually the way because my team, my recruitment team, has a lot of challenges finding experienced folks, especially PCB engineers. We hire a lot of component engineers, PCB design engineers, ECAD, librarians. We do not find the right skill, and sometimes even if they are, they you don't. There's a heavy competition in the corporates because all of them want them and they are very few. So we have that issue. And somewhere where the challenge really increases is, there is the equation is not fine. The demand versus supply. So the demand in corporates is huge and the supply is not enough. So what happens is that company needs to run. So you intend to, use your available resources, do all the work, and sometimes it leads to a little bit of stress. Though we try all kinds of ways to ensure those kind of things don't happen, but still there is some kind of a pressure that builds in into the employees. This is I'm talking in from the industry perspective. So we find sometimes there is attrition in these teams, in the engineering teams. And something which even concerns us is because, some of the employees, we've seen them even take a shift in their careers because they find these jobs are very pressurizing to them. So this is not a good place. This is not a good way, thing to find, the problem to have, because you don't want employees, I mean, especially these resources, firstly shortage, and then you have them move. So that's one of our challenges. And another challenge which I found is that with these work pressures, and if you talk about these kind of challenges, we find female workforce are not much in these sectors or in these areas. So I mean, especially when you have these gender diversity, ensuring things are in place, we find women, talent still have a long way to go here. We've not found them very, very predominantly in this industry or in this area. So these are some things. And just to solve these problems, it's just not me talking. I think this is the whole of the industry, HR talking. We generally try to look at freshers. That's the fresh graduates from colleges. And what happens is that we think we can possibly use them in for the lower level jobs and put them at jobs immediately, but that does not really happen because the knowledge level, our desired level of skills versus the actual level does not align. So we generally have to spend a lot of time to actually train the students first and then put them in job. And frankly, we were not even able to assess them on technology or technical skills. We actually hire them based on their basic technical aptitude. So that's a gap. So we not even we're not fully ready. So companies sometimes have to make a bench, of having training programs, and it's not always very economical. Sometimes in the conditions that we are, you do not want to have so much of buffer hiring happening. So these are not the right places we want to be. So this is some of the challenges. I've spoken a lot, but frankly, when you talk about hiring, these are some of the pain points that I think all the HRs are going to talk about.
This is really interesting because Ray, as I mentioned, you've been on the podcast in the past, and I feel like everything that Megha just mentioned are things that you have mentioned when we talked during a podcast interview. So folks who may remember one of those old podcast interviews will remember Ray, and if you haven't seen that episode, make sure to check out the link in the YouTube video description. You can go watch that episode as well. Ray, as the head of or the VP of Altium Education, what opportunities do you see for Mauser, the EDA vendors like Altium, and the Indian university system to work together to address some of these challenges? Because you have, I think, the experience here on the US side, and everything Megha just listed really aligns with some of the challenges that you've had to deal with already.
Well, yeah, they're very, very similar, challenges globally, and we'll get into this as we go. But we're definitely getting into India in a big way. We're with our education programs. There's huge opportunity there for us to be of assistance to universities and to students. And as Megha mentioned, there's a real issue with that students are graduating and they're not trained or equipped to add value day one, and that falls to the corporation. So our opportunity is to help universities create industry-ready students and candidates who have more value upon graduation, and they can hit the ground running. I think Altium and Mauser have the opportunity really to share our core competencies, things that we're great at, with universities, and then really share our curriculum, share our tools, with the universities and align with corporations to understand really what the corporations are looking for day one. The universities are, that's their job, is to create industry ready students. They want to do that. Wholeheartedly, they're behind that. That's their passion. We just need to share our core competencies with them to fill that gap. And that's what we do with our programs. So I think there's huge opportunity for Altium, Mauser, and other corporations to really assist in India and globally.
So, if you could, Ray, just tell us what kinds of programs does Altium Education offer to students and to universities in India to help them prepare for that transition into industry?
Yeah, sure. So it's our goal at Altium to support the next generation of electronics designers. That's our ultimate goal, and to create, as I mentioned, industry ready students that can enter the electronics design industry and be of value day one. And so we have programs that support that goal. One, we have the student lab. The student lab globally, and definitely in India, of course, provides free Altium Designer and Altium 365 to students. And it also offers free PCB design curriculum. We found in our relationships and our communications with universities and with students, oftentimes the electrical engineering students aren't taught PCB design. So we have curriculum that teaches students from the introduction to manufacturing. And so students get that curriculum. We also have something called the Educator Center. And in India, it's completely free for universities to get licenses. So we talk with all the different tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 universities. We talk to their professors, their heads of electrical engineering departments. We give them free Altium Designer, Altium 365, and they also get free training. So we're training their professors on how to use Altium. And the professors, the universities, the students are very receptive because Altium is the industry standard, and the professors want their students to have the industry standard. So it's the Altium Student Lab and it's the Educator Center that we have for students. And we have the PCB design curriculum currently that teaches them how to create a printed circuit board. We are going to be replacing that with what we're calling micro-credentials. So there'll be 4 micro-credentials, all at different levels, all building on one another from the introduction to manufacturing. The other thing that we've heard from students is, I should say that we launched the Altium Educator Program and the Student Lab in March of 2022. We have 140,000 students who've been through the program, and it's very successful. These students are coming out and getting jobs, not just at any company, but jobs at NASA and Tesla. And we have several examples of students. We've got examples of freshman students going through our program and getting great internships. So it is working. And then we're going to expand upon that. And the students get certification. So back to the point, we want students to understand all aspects of electronics design. And so that's why we've partnered with Mauser, because students really need to understand, again, all aspects of printed circuit board design. They really need to understand supply chain, procurement, purchasing. This is really important to understand at the outset of your design so that you're not running into problems down the road. You couldn't get this component, or this is too expensive, or that hasn't been vetted. So we partnered with Mauser. I mean, who better to partner with in this area with that content? And they've got great education content. So along with our micro-credentials, we'll have this content available to students. So, and I would say that's going to create a more comprehensive program for the students.
So something I'm curious about, and Megha, I think this is a question for you. Here in the U.S., if you look at the U.S. University system and you look at electrical engineering courses in the U.S. system, I would say over the past couple decades, there's been a really big focus on semiconductors, and then of course they learn all the typical, circuit design. They do some labs where they learn a little bit of test and measurement, but outside of that, there's pretty much nothing around printed circuit boards. There's probably not much around like signal integrity. There's probably not much around things like EMI, EMC, custom components, those types of things. Um, is that what you've seen in the Indian university system?
So with our universities, I mean, if I have to say that, there is a lot of focus on having specialized courses and programs. And I think the universities really try hard to ensure there is an amalgamation of their existing courses with the curriculum. And they're trying to collaborate with industries to have these things fall in place. But I think more than what universities are taking initiatives, the problem is the challenges that they face in terms of infrastructure. They don't have such setup. I mean, there are funding problems, is what I know. That the colleges and universities do not have enough of funds to ensure that they can actually buy these licenses. I understand from Ray that we give a lot of license free, but I mean I really hope that all the universities and colleges, because what I understood is that Ray focuses on possibly tier one for now and maybe the best of the IITs and colleges like that. But if we have it across even in the lower area, because we have a lot of crowd there, a lot of students who are high potential have not made to those into those universities. If we can have those these courses put up for those colleges as well, that could make a lot of difference. So I think there are some challenges that universities are facing even though they want to do all of this. And some issues I think is also with the latest, to catch up with the latest trends in the technology. It's quickly moving, and even some things like train the trainer, right? I mean, the educators themselves need to be trained first. So I think there is a need of not only for the students and programs for them or campaigns for them, we need to look at the system, education system as a whole. And this is not a university or a particular design house, or anybody cannot do it single handedly. It has to be a joint approach wherein corporates, the companies like Altium and all of us, Altium and all of us get together. The government gets together, and we need to work out something on those lines.
We definitely are focusing on all the different tiers of colleges, tier one, tier two, and tier three. And it's a huge focus to provide our tools to the universities. But as you said, Meg, it's really important that we train the trainer. So these trainers understand how to use Altium Designer, how to use Altium 365. And so we have free training that we offer to all the university professors when we're installing it, when we're having them install our software into their programs. So yeah.
You mentioned, Megha, a few different areas where I think the university system is trying to address these challenges and help students prepare for those engineering roles. What else is the university doing, and what else is the government doing in terms of support for some of these initiatives?
I would say government is really trying hard because the digital skills, if you see the numbers, are not really great in India. So the average, I'm not talking about electronics or semiconductors, but the general digital workforce in India is only 12%, which is far away from what it should have been. So possibly we'll have to do a nine times, we'll have to pick up in our skills and development to even reach that kind of numbers where we have to be. And if you look at semiconductors, let's not even talk about it. I'm talking about general digital skills, and if you have to talk about specific skills, we're not even going to be around. So I think government is really trying a lot with initiatives like Make in India. There are some Skill India. So there are a lot of these initiatives they started. This is more generic, but even specific schemes for semiconductors and electronics. So we have some things called as Semicon India Mission. We had some things, very specific schemes with financial incentives, which was introduced by the government to ensure there is more of local manufacturing happening, so that there is more employment opportunities created, so that because if you see the way IT and engineering, though they are all the same, I mean, people look at it very differently. They find jobs are more easy and more lucrative in this space and not here. They don't find so many opportunities. So government has been constantly pushing on these kind of things. It's also trying hard to promote infrastructure to ensure that there is strong for electronics and manufacturing companies. So they're doing a lot for this, but point is, it cannot be in silos. What I'm trying to say is that government is doing its job, it's trying hard. We have companies like Ray, with Altium, who's trying to get into India market and trying to help. Universities want to do it, corporates are not getting it. So it's need of the hour is to get together. We have a strong system in place so that we all can get together and get, and I think you can really create a lot of employment opportunities here. So we also have an issue of a lot of skill drain happening from India, is because you don't see enough of opportunities here. So I think if the companies and universities focus, and we have good employment opportunities created by government and enough of skills, I think India is there then. So I think that's the need right now, and that's where we are heading.
So, Ray, maybe you can tell us, as the overseer of Altium Education, um, how are students responding to all of these different opportunities? You threw out a couple numbers earlier, and I mean, I think you said over 100,000 students have enrolled, and that's extremely impressive. So, what's the student response like?
Yeah, we started this in March of 2022, and I think in the first couple of weeks we had 4,000 students globally, and it erupted from there. It's really a grassroots, because it's 140,000 students now that have been through our program, and we're just starting, in India. So we've got probably 7,000 students in India now. We're working with 63 colleges there. And I would say that, globally, it is this grassroots thing. So we're really doing top down with the universities and bottom up. But oftentimes, the students are the ones that bring our programs to the university. So that's really refreshing. The students will bring it and say, look, Altium has the student lab. We get free licenses. We get free training. They've got an educator center, and you get free training. And then the professors call us, and they bring our programs in. What's interesting, though, I would say about India is the passion and the appetite for learning. Unbelievable. I mean, I would say, globally it's great, but in India, it's just amazing to see these students who are so grateful to have, Altium's just out of their reach. It's just far too expensive. And the educators, the professors, it's out of their reach. I mean, the value that we give to universities is sometimes $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 worth of training, all for free, training, licenses. But I would say I just have to hand it to the students and the professors in India for their passion. And to go back to, the universities, they wholeheartedly want their students to be industry ready. So they're just grateful for our support. They're very grateful. We just love working with people from India. Yeah.
That's really incredible to hear. I think one thing that students might wonder about if they are going to, let's say, make the choice to pursue hardware design as a career is, what are some of the support and scholarship opportunities available for Indian students? Maybe Megha, maybe Ray, either one of you could take this. Are there scholarship opportunities available, and are those opportunities expanding to support students who are interested in hardware design?
Yes, definitely. For the students in India, first of all, the student lab, they get Altium Designer for free, Altium 365. And then they get the free PCB design curriculum that we'll be adding to, and Mauser will be as a part of that. But we also have our global scholarship fund, where students can apply and get more free training on Altium Designer. And then what's really important to us is our women's scholarship fund. And we're very concerned, and Megha mentioned this, the gender imbalance in India and globally, but we're very concerned about the gender imbalance. So for women, we offer the Women's Scholarship Program. And women get Altium Designer and Altium 365, but they also get to go through an instructor-led course on Altium Designer. That's what we put our professionals through. So somebody at Lockheed or any of our customers, if they want to learn Altium Designer, they go through Altium Designer Essentials Instructor Led. And we give that program away for free to women in India. And it's just, we've had great results. I mean, we've trained probably over 200 women now in India through our Women's Scholarship Program. Yeah. And that really gives them an advantage because they really know Altium Designer. And so they're getting great, internships out there. So, yeah.
I think that's something, just to add on to that's a great approach, because I think that's something we definitely need in India. I mean, even in my own teams in the engineering, we don't have many female workforce, specifically in this particular unit. So I'm glad you're doing that. I think that would be really very, very good initiative for India. I mean, I would say that. That's great.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, I'm glad. We're really happy to be providing this to women. So, yeah, thank you.
Now, just to follow on to this, Megha, this question is for you. As a woman in India, maybe you are in a position to tell us what are some of the, I don't want to use the word barriers, but maybe what are some of the challenges that women might face if they want to pursue hardware design as a career? And I think maybe the corollary to that is, are there a lot of women who do this or who want to do this and for whatever reason find an alternative that works better for them and they just never get that push to really pursue this as far as they can?
Yeah. So, firstly, is when we talk about India, India's changed a lot. I definitely would have to say that, initially from the times we've, evolved is tremendous. So today, you see a lot of women in workforce, unlike, some few decades back when you did not have, none of our parents hardly worked. And that was more for livelihood and not for passion. So today you see a lot of women working out of passion. So I think that's a paradigm shift that we are seeing now. So we have a lot of parents who encourage. Earlier, it was all about male. So it's like, in India we have this thing that the male, son. I mean, let's talk about the son takes care of the elderly parents, and there were certain, mind shifts that we've had or we've seen now, where it's not it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female, and I think these issues are global, just not India. But I would like to just make a mention of that. So today we see that changing, and we see parents investing into women doing engineering courses and things like that. So there is definitely a lot of change. However, it is not complete paradigm shift. So you still see that a lot of young girls who have done their engineering or have excellent scores in their academics, but they can't make it beyond marriage. So their career stops at marriage. Or if they've got a cool husband, or things worked out great, they may reach maternity, and it stops at maternity. So there are different barriers or different phases where women takes a full stop. So I think there are those things, but a lot of things, again, I mean, I will not leave this opportunity to mention that things have really changed. So we see a lot of change in the even the male workforce, especially because corporates have started realizing this, and we have a lot of initiatives that the company brings from the policy standpoint, that leaves are not just for maternity, it's also for paternity, to ensure that they both feel the responsibilities alike, and it's not just about women. So I think there are a lot of those things, and pandemic in a good way or a bad way has brought in a lot of different kind of working systems of working from home, remote working, different time work hours. You could do a lot of things. So I think these things have been good, along with, as we've seen a lot of bad things about it, but these have been some of the things which have helped women, because now they're able to operate from home. So they've been able to prove to the employers that you don't need, I mean, I can do everything, I can do it in different ways. It's just that you need to give me flexibility. I think corporate has got that right. So that's one great step available. So if companies also, like Altium also have these sponsorship and things like that, it's a even bigger kick. You are able to go a step ahead, because parents now know, okay, they're technically educated and you've spent a lot of money on them, on educating them. You don't want them to sit at home. So I think those things help. And I mean, I think these are some of the things which have changed, but I think there is a lot of push that we really need to give the women workforce in different ways. So I mean, I really am really impressed. I'm repeating this like a couple of times, but I'm really impressed with the way our team is trying to bring such things, because I think that's the need of the hour, for sure. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I would, just add to that, if we can offer these programs right when they're getting into school too. So in their freshman, not junior, senior, which we offer there too. But if we can spark that passion early on
Yeah.
and get them excited about the electronics design industry, that definitely helps, because we can get them internships, in the summers before they get out, and they'll be so industry ready once
Yeah.
they, enter the workforce. So.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to do. A lot of awareness is required, and especially even with things like you're doing. You need so many initiatives. Actually, even the government initiatives. There is so much happening, but it's not, the awareness is not enough. So I think we need a lot of that for everyone. Possibly that'll help even women and men equally, both the workforce, the genders, to actually get that this place, the engineering sector is not just a sector, it's equivalent to any IT or any of the vanilla skills or vanilla technologies that they think about. So yeah, that's how I would put it.
Well, these are all very interesting developments, and I'm excited to see how these educational programs develop in India, both as being offered by Altium and by Mauser. So I want to thank you both for being here today. This has been a really interesting discussion, and I hope anyone that is listening checks out the show notes, and they'll be able to find some of those resources and follow that rabbit hole down for electronics design. Thank you both for being here today.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us, Zach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I love this discussion. Thank you so much.
To everyone that's out there listening, we've been talking with Rea Callendar, VP of Education at Altium, and Megha Kurup, HR Vice President for Asia Pacific at Mauser. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll be able to keep up with all of our tutorials and podcast episodes as they come out. And last but not least, don't stop learning, stay on track, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.